You ever feel like a storm is gathering over the Motor City silent? Ominous, but its rumble shakes your chest before the first lightning even cracks. Like the heart of this team is preparing to race, yet no one dares whisper it out loud. That's where we're at with the Lions right now. The air's thick with tension, a charged electricity hovering above the practice fields, flickering in the conversations you overhear from OTAs to the locker room halls. And the truth is, Detroit has never needed that kind of electricity more. If you can feel your pulse sync with that coming boom, then roar it back at me down below. Because this city, our city, is on the brink. And it's not just about hope anymore. It's about what we're willing to stake on the gamble that's just landed on our doorstep. Behind the curtains, buried under the blinding heat of training camp countdowns, insiders have been whispering, tiptoeing around names and moves with cautious reverence. But today, the clouds parted and revealed something that has this fan burning. With a mixture of relief and fire. The Lions, desperate to plug creaking holes, especially in the secondary, just pulled a bold, calculated shot across the bow by signing Vanderbilt defensive back Tyson Russell, a name that might have flown under your radar but has been turning heads behind closed doors since his workout rocked the team's brass to their core. And they didn't stop there. To add fuel to this late summer heat, Detroit welcomed former Tennessee Titans running back Jabari Small, a backfield weapon who, despite going undrafted and ghosting from the public eye on the practice squads, carried a thunderous pedigree with 2,122 rushing yards and 32 touchdowns in college. Small is not your average undrafted freeloader. These are moves that smack of urgency, desperation, but also of quiet confidence, the kind of confidence born in post-midnight hours of watching tape, analyzing injury reports, and knowing Khalil Dorsey and Stanley Thomas Oliver might not answer. The call on the corners when the whistle blows. The Lions brass isn't just adding bodies. They are planting seeds, raw and rough cut, that might just bloom into the backbone of a defense ready to reclaim Detroit's dignity. It's a narrative soaked with the blood and sweat of every fan who's felt the sting of seasons past, who sat through years of rebuilding promises that felt like mirages shimmering over an empty Ford Field. This city knows the weight of near misses, of heartbreaks that drain you, and the cold absence of a Super Bowl parade since '91. But what if Small and Russell are the darkest horses, the underappreciated warriors who redefine what it means to fight and claw for every inch in this league? What if their stories are Detroit stories, underrated, overlooked, but relentless? What if these signings are the spark set to ignite a transformation bigger than stats and grades can measure? The stakes could not be higher. Can this patchwork, bruised secondary close its wounds in time? Can Small on the ground and change the tempo of this offense in a season where every yard counts? Will the ghost of Caldwell's era finally be laid to rest with moves that whisper not of desperation, but of destiny? What if, against all odds, these unheralded names become the faces of a season that sees the Lions shatter the 10.5 win odds, snarling and savage in the playoffs, ready to shake a league that's been counting us out for too long? And if these dominoes fall just right, if Tyson Russell's grit and Small's burst find the synergy that Detroit craves, well, you better hold on tight because this team isn't just back in the hunt. We're coming for blood, for pride, for the heart of a city that refuses to settle for anything less than glory. And now the fuse is lit. The crowd is rising. The whistle is about to blow Detroit. Are you ready for the explosion? Enough silence. Roar now or forever be forgotten. Because tonight, under the smog-laden Detroit skyline, where every brick and steel beam echoes with the ghost of Super Bowl's loss, we stand on the precipice of something unerringly raw and unstoppable. I'm telling you, this isn't just about signings or draft picks. It's about reclaiming every ounce of pride we've battered and bled for decades. Remember the 0-16 nightmare when despair was etched into our bones, when Ford Field was a mausoleum of broken dreams and the silence was deafening. We fought back from that abyss with grit, with a glimmer of hope flickering behind the curtain of disappointment. I watched as Matthew Stafford, with scars and failures behind him, threw that perfect touchdown to save a season that was teetering on collapse, pushing away the darkness sealing our fate. And then came Calvin, untouchable, a myth in cleats, retired too soon, leaving fans clutching at phantom memories, blood in their eyes and posters of a future that never was. Seasons of near misses, wild card heartbreaks, playoff collapses each. One a scar, a lesson carved into the fabric of this city, fueling the rage that screamed for revival. Jim Caldwell's firing? A desperate gamble, but deep down we knew that if we wanted redemption, it would take more than just old plays, more than the same old lying story told over and over. It would require sacrifices, radical moves, breaking the chains of complacency that stifled our dreams. So in the front office, driven by whispers from dark locker room corners and late-night NFL rumor mills, dared to sign Tyson Russell, an under-the-radar hero from Vanderbilt my soul ignited. This kid's got fire, grit, a hunger that screams. Detroit resilience, and you can't buy that instinct, that savage instinct that tells him he's got something to prove. And jab a fiery ball of energy in small and undrafted Titan with college. Stats that make linebackers shudder. Those are more than signings. They're signals, sirens ringing loud in the ears of NFC North rivals who think they've seen it all. They don't realize we're making a statement that beneath the surface, Detroit's bones are crackling with anticipation, ready to explode. To fill the gaps left by aging corners, the Lions are leaning into blood, sweat, and grit, forging. Identities in the forge of desperation, daring to believe that these no-names can become legends. What if Tyson Russell, with his relentless pursuit and tattooed heart, becomes the key, the defensive linchpin that no one saw coming? What if Small turns the backfield chaos into a hurricane that Baltimore's defense can't weather? It's the stuff of Hollywood, but this is Detroit, where history's greatest comebacks have been born, where Sanders' lightning bolts tore the league apart, where Stafford's late-game heroics rewrote the script, and where Barry's silence after. Retirement left a void that Detroit still refuses to accept as final. The NFC North's bravado? It's trembling under the weight of what Detroit's building in secrecy, sharpening in silence, and waiting in the shadows. Whatever doubts NFL beat writers cling to, history whispers differently. The Lions are no longer just a team. They are a war drum pounding beneath the surface, a tidal wave on the brink. What if this season, in a blink, becomes the revolution we've all been dying for? What if Small's relentless pace, Russell's fiery hits, and the hidden wisdom of veteran leadership unleash a storm that sweeps everything in its path? Finally, right where we belong, at the heart of the league's fiercest, most unforgiving battles. Every second ticking away now feels like a countdown to that seismic shift. And trust me, Detroit's soul is vibrating harder than ever, because when that whistle blows and the candles are snuffed out in Ford Field tonight, you better believe that the shadows are shifting, the ground is trembling, and somewhere deep inside, you can hear it, an unstoppable, unbreakable war cry waiting to erupt. But the question looms, are we just watching the storm gather, or are we ready to become it, to ignite something that will shake the very foundations of the NFL forever? Because once that thunder roars, there's no turning back. The night is young, and the fight has only just begun.